Hey guys, and welcome back to Alan's Gaming. This is of course Alan of Alan's Gaming, and I hope you like my videos. Continuing, as I said, I would continue going through Sanctuary Hills and clearing up everything, as in looting or picking everything up, just so that would speed things up for this particular video. Now, I'm sure you remember, but if you haven't watched my other videos, when you're going to any settlement, obviously you need resources to build it, and there are mods, as I mentioned in the first video, that actually provide those extra videos. Let me just turn this radio off. Now, those extra resources provided by those mods can be useful. Now, due to having picked everything up, I am stuck walking, but that's just how it is. Now, we will fix that in a moment. Now, as you can see, we have our workshop here, and use workshop, and this is just a brief explanation, don't need to worry about it. Now we're going to leave the workshop and actually transfer stuff. Now as you can see, each one of these things that are already in the workshop can be broken down into those resources. Now oil is just oil, steel, toy cargo, screw and wood, globe, cork, plastic and screw. Now screws being obviously what they are. Now you can solidly click store all junk, and we've got all that junk stored in there. Now if you look, I've still got some other stuff in my bags. Number one, I've got 4 of these. I don't need 4 of these. I don't need frag grenades, I don't need pipe pistols, I don't need security batons, and I don't need a switchblade. I've got all these stupid pieces of clothing, which again I don't really need. Then I've got all this food. Now the food, particularly gourds, you can put in there. I don't think I've got anything else at this time, but I generally just toss it all in there, or most of it in there. The reason I just toss it in there is because if any of it is used in crafting, it'll automatically get used from here without you having to carry it, which does make life easier. Now you can carry this purified water, but it has weight in normal. If you're playing survival, the RadAway, which has 0.1 weight, and the Stimpaks there, Stimpaks have no weight. And if you're playing survival, Stimpaks do have weight. Now rad resistance is useful, so keep that. Keep some of that. Don't need the rest of this crap, so we'll toss that in there too. Now here we can choose what we want to carry. Toss that in, toss that in, toss that in. That's the tape that your husband or wife, depending on which character you're choosing, will create. That's the game we don't need, and that's that book. Bobby pins are of course used to pick locks. That's ammo. In harder difficulties they do have weight, in this they do not. Now these things I'll toss out later, but I don't need to right now. As for the food I was mentioning, I'm supposed to have more, but that's because I didn't pick it up. It's around here, some of it. Now, melon, melon, and gourd. Now, when you're crafting stuff, you can actually totally go from craft, which is hold V down, I think, yeah, and store it. Tab, store in the workshop. Now, if you haven't looted those things, you only end up with 3. Whereas if you loot it and then store it, you end up with 6 in terms of items of food, which is useful. Similarly, the 3 gourds I picked up earlier, most people don't seem to realize this, which is why most of those resource packs that are meant to help you build have extra food in it. Now, you go back here, you've got these 3 wild mint fruit, which is used to create drugs and stuff. Down there is a safe, which I can't pick yet, and just over here somewhere, there, gourd. Now these are outside your map, so you can't actually access them, but there are 2 more here and a 3rd one there. Now that's 4 extra food items simply by going to the right place. But now because, as I said, they're outside your map, you can't edit them and move them to where you want them in the game or within Sanctuary Hills, but you have them to boost food requirements. It just makes the starting point easier. Now from here, if you go straight that way to the mountain, you'll find an enemy who you can kill and sometimes has food as well. Now back to clearing this map. Let's see. Currently, you can see in the top it says size, and it's pretty much 2/3 full. That is basically how many items are placed on the map that you can interact with or exist. Now, by scrapping them, that's R and then E, you reduce that by one hell of a lot. Now, you won't see the change immediately, but give it a little while and you'll notice that our thing goes down. Oh, speaking of, I mentioned the use of copper earlier. There, light. Okay, now we don't have copper, we've got fuse, broken light bulb, and so on and so forth, which is great. There's wood, but yeah, all of these things are useful for building up your town. Now, that of course becomes cloth being used for couches and so on and so forth. Now you can go inside and scrap entire furniture and stuff, which I will do later on. But you go around the entire town, just pick everything up and scrap this shit. Because honestly, you don't need it. If you're worried about them being used to slow enemies down, there are 3 things you need to remember. Firstly, enemy 1 comes from there. That is 1 point of enemies coming from. Now, Sanctuary Hills has 3 points of where enemies come from. That of course being one of them. Well, 3.5. For 2/3 of the game, no enemies will come from here. Later on you'll get a few enemies coming through here, but you can worry about that later. Enemy point 2, they come up through here. So you put in some defenses here, you put some defenses up there, and of course enemy point 3 is down by the bridge. Now, by down by the bridge, I mean that some mobs will actually spawn right there on the map, which is a bit of a pain. Other mobs will spawn just over there and will come up this way towards your town. Now, you have a number of options. Option 1, build up logical defense at the right points. Option 2, build a wall around your town, which you can do once you've scrapped everything and have the construction space to do so. But that, as I said, takes up a lot of construction items and thus reduces how much you can build once you've gotten to that point. Now, the next option is of course your crafting tables. Now, this is a cooking station. Cooking stations are used to obviously cook. Now I like to have all my crafting stuff up here. Now, I delete and change them as I go depending on what options I have. Now this is a level 1 crafting station, or at least how I see it. Doesn't matter what crafting station you have, you can craft the same things at every single one of them. There we have an armor station, there we have power armor station, here we have a weapons station. Now I put them all there because that's where I like to store them. You'll see once I start building later on. Basically, you just scrap all the crap that you don't need. Now, you go around, you can already see that it's making a difference. Now, I can scrap this or I can store it. In terms of useful items. I could have done the same with this table, but I don't actually need all this crap. The rogues themselves, they don't actually provide much in the way of resources. You can need just rubber. But crafting them takes a lot more than just rubber. Same with the couches. You scrap it and you get a little bit of what is needed to make the damn thing, but you need to scrap like 4 couches just to get enough materials to make one. Now, the only reason I actually scrap them all is because eventually you're going to have so much cloth, so much wood, so much rubber, that it actually makes no difference, no sense not to scrap it. Because if you're like me and you're going to build a whole town yourself anyway, you might as well scrap it, build a town the way you want it, and get the extra experience for every single item you build. Now, the one thing you need to watch out for in some of these houses is they have some bloody pictures. Now, this one doesn't, so that's fine. But they have pictures. You'll see them in there. Now, we took out the tricycle already. Get rid of the car. Door. Bridge. And now this thing in the middle here you can't get rid of. But down the chimney, in other houses you probably could, but in this, because this was your original home, which is why I can't get rid of the kitchen counters and shit. But there's the picture I was talking about. Just get rid of all this crap. Now obviously you can't get rid of the door, but I can get rid of this crap. And we're moving. Now, you can already see a pretty big difference as in the size of the crafted and placed stuff is actually reduced a little bit even now, and I've only just started clearing up and getting rid of crap. Now obviously you gotta keep an eye out because some things you won't see, like there, I almost missed that. Sometimes it's just easier to put the torch on, especially as the light starts fading and it starts to get dark. But yeah, here we go, more fencing crap. Now, in some cases, it will look kind of stupid where, I'll show you later on, where you've actually scrapped something but you can't actually get rid of it, or scrap things around, like here, I can't select and get rid of that, even though it's inside the fence. However, come to the other side and you've got the fence, but that's still there. Now there are a couple of instances where that happens elsewhere. Get rid of the trees. Now, people are like, why are you getting rid of the trees? And I'm like, it's cover for bandits when they attack my town. It also provides me extra resources and reduces the craft or construction size of my base so that I have less stuff. Now, something to keep in mind when you are building, the more you build up a place, the more likely it is to be attacked. So keep that in mind. A friend of mine, he used to build up towns and put in like, okay, bare minimum defense. So, okay, I've got a town, there's 10 settlers and got electricity and chairs and beds, and the town got attacked every 2 minutes. He couldn't walk out of the town without it being attacked because he had 8 defense. Now, conventional wisdom from various sources states that the amount of defense you have, or the number of defense you have, should be equal or greater than the sum of every single resource. Now, by sum, I mean add everything together. So how many people do you have, plus how much food do you have, plus how much water are you generating with your water pump or whatever, plus how much power you have, plus how many beds you have. Add that all together, and that is the minimum defense you need for your town. It's fairly simple to understand in that if you're looking at it from that perspective. Now, depending on how you operate, you may end up with more defense. The higher your defense, the quicker and more easily your town is defended without you having to do anything. Sometimes you get a little quest notification, please help save these people from bandits, and you get there and you hear gunfire from your turrets and your people, and then lo and behold, there's nothing for you to do. They're all dead. So what you do, you simply go and find where the gunfire is coming from and loot the bastards. Take the loot, sell shit, deconstruct shit, whatever. Sometimes they even have a nice weapon that might be useful to you, might be useful to one of your settlers. But don't just waste your time, because it's there, it's useful. Use it. As you can see, we've cleared up quite nicely. That green border you're seeing, that is the edge of where I can craft stuff. So anything outside the green border, can't touch. Now, as you can see, there is an invisible tree. They never actually did it properly when crafting the game. You can see it when you look up, look down, and it's gone. So there should be another one somewhere here. I can't remember where exactly, but there is another one of those invisible trees. Now obviously green border, you can go through, but it's going to take me out of the deconstruct window, which is not what I want. Now we're moving around here, and you can actually see it even further. We're almost at halfway of the placed items. Simply by getting rid of this crap, we're getting extra resources for crafting, which of course means you don't actually need the add-ons to give you the resources. Granted, there are some things like copper and oil and stuff you're still going to be very low on, especially early on. Later on you'll get lots and lots of copper, especially if you play the game the way I do. Now, if I remember correctly, this one is being picked already. Yes. There are a couple of others that were just too hard for me to pick, so I left them for now. And we're getting there. That's this room, moving around, get rid of the car, we were there. Now, when you are playing, if you do play the game, watch out for little things like chair, box, carpet, table, TV. Now you think that everything's gone, but it's not. See, cigar. There's another one here. There's also a food tray, but I was able to pick that up earlier. But that covers everything. Now I'm going to stop the video in a moment so that this video doesn't end up like long as hell. But because I've pretty much only a third of the way through scrapping everything, and this video is already 16 minutes. So yeah, but you'll see this light here, I can't scrap this thing. It would be nice if I could, but I can't, so you just gotta deal. Wild mood fruit, scrap, 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 scrap. But yeah, so this is how you get resources early on to craft your town. To the best of your ability with limited resources. And this, of course, is why you don't need the add-ons. Ooh, missed that. Store that. Can't really scrap it, but you can store it. And yeah, so I will end the video now. I will continue scrapping the town and create a new video of both constructing a new town and give you a quick tour of what it looks like once everything has been removed. I hope you like my videos. Please like and subscribe if you do. I hope you have a fantastic day. I will see you next time. Take care.